I've just popped in the external mic. Thumbs up if you can hear me. Oh, that always gives me great sense of, oh, thank goodness, the gremlins are out of the system. Well, let's arrive in whatever way you need to arrive. It might be arriving with a screech of brakes, or it might be arriving gently. So just finding your space and being here now. And whatever your diary says you're going to be doing later on, just bring the attention back. Ah, that's good. A lot of Qigong is about being aware, drawing our attention, paying attention. And a colleague of mine, Sandrine, who teaches mindfulness, is working with primary school children. And she's turned paying attention into playing attention, which I really like. I really warm to the idea of us playing attention. So if the mind goes off somewhere else, in a very playful manner, we can just notice that it's gone off and bring it back. Bring it back to the center. All the movement coming from the core, from the center of the body. Big, powerful muscles in the abdomen and the low back. The waist, drawing the hips round. Knees following the hips. Ankles following the knees. Never putting more weight on any joint than it feels perfectly comfortable with. Waist drawing the chest round. Shoulders following the chest. Head following the shoulders. And in a strange way, the eyes following the head. The head draws the eyes round, and then the eyes see a little tiny bit more of that horizon out of the corner of each eye at the end of each swing. Feeling the weight of your arms, gently drawing the shoulders apart. Weight of the fingers, softening the palms of the hands. Weight of the hand, softening the wrists. Never pushing the movement any further than you feel perfectly comfortable. So tempting to feel resistance and say, oh, I could go a little tiny bit further. But really listen to the body. How does the body feel in this moment, in this space? And how it feels is perfection. That's it. And then slowly, gradually, even if we've been traveling at 70 or 80 or 100 miles an hour, just letting the movement, taking the foot off the accelerator and letting the movement gradually reduce, little by little. Little by little. I might push the car driving similes and metaphors a bit too far, so you're allowed to say enough, Kim. Feet under the hips. Just turn your gaze away from the screen so that you're not being drawn into the screen. Let the eyes rest on part of the room where you can see beyond. Let the mind's eye see the horizon. Knees are soft, arms gently tick-tocking. That's it. Elbows are soft, wrists are soft. Sky hook attached to the crown of the head, lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering. Very gentle movement, but quite fast. That's it. Elbows are soft, wrists are soft. Feeling the soles of the feet in contact with the floor, receiving support from the earth. If the thighs begin to grumble a bit, just take your attention up to the crown of the head. Use that sky hook to lift you. That puppet string does the work. The thighs don't need to work hard. That's it. If the back of the neck is a bit tight, just do that little raising your crest movement, even in this backwards and forwards arm swinging, making sure you're not looking down your nose at the horizon. That's it. Now, only if it feels right, letting the arms swing a little higher. Kindness, respect to those shoulder joints. Don't make them swing higher than you feel comfortable. At the moment, no higher than shoulder width, shoulder height. That's it. That extra drop of the arms, really pushing the soles of the feet against the earth, forcing us to be here, to be in this place. And then only if it feels right with your shoulders, with the abdomen and the chest, letting the arms swing upwards, opening up the front of the body, only as far as it feels perfectly safe. And then just letting each swing get a little less, a little less, a little less. Until the movement subsides. That's good. So a slight variation on our usual routine. That upward movement is opening up the front of the body, helping us extend upwards. And I'd just like to intersperse our warm-ups with the metal element, where we're small, where we're big, just to really allow us to expand sideways as well as the front of the body. So you need space to the sides. Bring the feet a little wider than shoulder width height. Shoulder width height? Just ignore the words that come out of my mouth. That's good. That slightly wider stance means that when we do expand sideways and need a little power, the knees find it just happens that the knees bend so that we tend to drop down and expand. So let the hands come up, palms face forwards. I'm too close to that wall, just turn slightly. That's it. And just for a moment or two, feel somewhere where it's good to be big, really allowing the body to expand, and then palms turn into fists, the thumb folds over the palm of the hand, fingers close over the thumbs and bring the arms forwards. Doesn't matter which hand goes over which. Now making ourselves small, tiny, minuscule, invisible. Breathe in as the elbows pull back. They drop when they can go no further back. The palms open. And just feel that resistance, those walls on either side. And then breathe out. That out breath creating the space we need. You don't have to stop where your hands stop. In your mind, you can create as much space as you need. Breathe in. Palms turn into a fist. Breathe out. Really squeezing the upper body, making it tiny and small. Breathe in. Keep the fists close into the chest. The elbows come back. Palms open. Feel that resistance on either side. And then breathe out. If you need to or want to, that out breath has power to it. So it's a hold the stretch, breathe in. Fist, breathe out. Breathe out, making ourselves small and compact. Breathe in. Elbows drop, palms feel that resistance and breathe out. Whatever space we need, we can create. Hold that stretch, breathe in. Fist, last movement, breathe out. In. Elbows drop when they can go no further back. Feel that resistance and breathe out. Again, heavy, heavy walls, but they're on casters, they move. Hold that stretch, breathe in. And this time as you breathe out, just let the hands drop. That's great. A little wriggle. Bring the feet underneath the hips. While we're in this space and while the energy is still up in the upper body, just connect with the puppet string. Let that sky hook draw you up as far as possible. Gain that lovely image of the head just hanging, the spine, that string of chunky beads just hanging from the head. If there's tension in the shoulders, a little bit of a wriggle, no rationing of the wriggle. Loosening the hips. And we're going to do that very refined rotation around the central string of bones in the spine. So we're not shifting our weight from side to side. We're just letting that spine rotate, the whole body rotating around that string of bones in the spine. Any curves or kinks just hanging loosely. Head turning on the shoulders. The arms often feel a bit stiff with this refined movement, but just giving them a shake so they can hang loose. That's it. Notice how you touch the floor, how your feet touch the earth. If you're too keen in your rotation, the feet, the toes begin to grip. That's it. Soft movement. Just like the bigger movement, letting the rotation come from the core, the waist, the core, bringing the hips round, knees following the hips, little stretch at the ankle. That's it. Waist drawing the chest round. shoulders following the chest, head following the shoulders. And just as with the larger arm swings, the eyes following the head. So at the end of each little rotation, just letting the eyes look out of the corner to see a little tiny bit more of that horizon. That's it. It's quite fun playing with this movement once you use the eyes to look at the horizon, because the eyes want to pull us round. And the waist says, okay, you can lead. And then very playfully, just make sure the eyes aren't drawing the head round first. The waist draws the rest of the body. The eyes are the last part of each rotation. And if they don't want to behave, just smile at them. Be an indulgent parent. That's it. With each rotation, that puppet string just draws the crown of the head up another millimeter, taking the weight of your head off the shoulders, taking the weight of the upper body off the lower back, taking the weight off the hips and the knees and the ankles. There we are. And then gradually letting each rotation get a little less, a little less, a little less, until the movement disappears. Oh, I think I'm almost here. Let's stand in Wu Qi position now, feet under the shoulders. I can still feel my body buzzing at a higher speed than I would prefer. It reminds me of a time when the accelerator cable on my car got stuck. And every time I tried to loosen it, instead of the car engine slowing down, it went faster and went faster. And I ended up having to change into neutral and slide into the side of the road, because whenever I engaged the engine, I went zooming off rather fast. And there's still that feeling as if the accelerator cable has got stuck and I'm still buzzing along at high speed, even though my body is trying to slow down. Feel the earth. Feel the support that the earth always provides. Feel how your feet touch the earth. Again, that buzziness in me is tending to draw me forwards onto the balls of my toes. So make sure you can feel your heels, really feeling that connection with the floor. Not leaning back so far that the toes have to start gripping. So really letting the feet spread. That very gentle pressure of the knees outwards, so the outside edge of each foot connects with the earth. That's it. Making sure all that connection to the earth doesn't pull us down. So the puppet string draws us up and keeps us light. Light, flexible, yet grounded. Arms hanging off the tips of the shoulders. Noticing the breath. Noticing the sensations that tell us we're breathing. Gradually taking that awareness down to the belly. Breathing in, drawing in qi, energy. Breathing out, letting go of waste. Soft breathing. Lazy breathing. Just breathing in enough rather than making the belly tight and tense. And if the chest wants to join in the party, let it. But you're paying attention down at the belly. Great. And then just let your hands float up You're all familiar with the shoulder rotation. So in your own time, if the ball of chi is easy and appears, just start allowing it to draw your arms up straight away. If today is a day you have to work hard to create that ball of chi, just spend as much time as you need to allow your mind to make that ball as real as possible. When it feels right, the ball begins to draw your arms up. Listen to those shoulders. Don't be self-competitive. Those shoulders do what they can do, not what they should be able to do. Large ball with the power to draw your arms up. Wherever your shoulders say that's high enough, the ball divides and the two small balls support the arms down. Letting the in-breath happen when the large ball draws your arms up. Breathing out as the two small balls support the arms down. Letting the movement go at the speed your body needs today, in this moment. The in-breath, allowing the chi to draw your arms up. The out-breath, allowing the chi to support your arms down. The chi drawing your arms up, allowing you to breathe in. The chi supporting the arms down allows you to breathe out. Noticing that moment of stillness at the end of the out-breath before you breathe in. Noticing that moment of stillness at the end of the in-breath before you breathe out. Being kind to the body. If the shoulders begin to grumble, or any part of the body begins to grumble, make the movement smaller. If energy is low, give yourself permission to sit down while you're doing this movement. The sitting bones of your bottom on a chair are just as powerful a connection to the earth as the soles of your feet. Just going to do 3 more circles. And at the end of your last circle, just finding that point of stillness somewhere between the chest and the belly. A place for the chi to support your hands, to support your arms, to allow the elbows to hang, to check that the sky hook is still keeping you fully extended, that the shoulders haven't crept up towards your ears. Soft breathing in the belly. Breathing in, recharging, breathing out, releasing. And then just letting the hands take the ball of chi down. and the arms hang. That's good. 3 soft breaths in the belly. Little wriggle, but we'll go straight in to knee rotations. The last few live classes I've done, we've been really focusing on making the knee rotations much, much smaller, much more refined. So there'll be a slight variation on how we do these today. Same basic position, feet almost touching, knees touching if they want to. Sky hook lowering us down. That's it. Hands just resting on the thighs. And just begin as you do with all of these. Every time we do the knee rotations, just letting the knees gradually begin to make smooth, small circles. The movement coming from the crown of the head. Checking that the spine is still hanging from the head, that the head is still hanging from the sky hook, that the hands are just being good friends to the thighs and not helping the movement, being rather than doing. Checking that the feet are in contact with the earth. Each time you're lowered, the toes spread and sink. Your roots really beginning to become part of the earth, creating that stability. That's it. Now, gradually begin to make those circles smaller and smaller and smaller. Tiny micro circles. You may, if you're lucky, find that those little tiny circles make the muscles in the thighs begin to judder a little bit more. Those thigh muscles are so good at doing big stuff, and they need a little bit of training not to be so enthusiastic, just to be still. And if they judder, praise them, applaud them, congratulate them. There we are. Tiny little circles. The movement still comes from the crown of the head. That puppet string still lifts you and lowers you. But the knees making very tiny little movements. That's good. And then let that movement gradually disappear. I won't say 3 more circles, but just let the movement get less and less and less until it disappears. And when it does disappear, just enjoy that moment of stillness before we begin to let the circles go in the opposite direction. Again, relatively large circles going in the opposite way. Just getting the knees and the muscles in the legs used to that new way of moving. Allow those circles to gradually increase, only as far as your knees and ankles are happy. So quite large circles, still keeping the feet flat on the ground. Movement still coming from the crown of the head. And when you've got to the size that is as large as your body feels comfortable with, then gradually make those circles smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller tiny little circles. All the movement still comes from the crown of the head. Not using up any valuable energy to stop twitching muscles, juddering muscles. That's good. And again, just allowing those tiny circles to get smaller and smaller and smaller until they disappear. That's good. And then come back to the basic standing position, Wu Qi position. That's quite a refined movement, and it often makes the body want to have a little bit of a jiggle. I know we're going to be doing some proper big shakes in the moment, but just a little jiggle just to loosen up. And I think it's time for a sup of water. Right. So, cultivating our roots and shaking. Find a place where you can let your toes, I know you know what my feet do, but you might sort of let your toes bend and see how that feels to begin with. Is today a day when you feel stable and you don't need support? Do you need to have a wall nearby in case you're going to lose your balance, or the back of a chair? It depends what life throws at us as to how stable we are. And then just letting your weight drop down onto that non-weight bearing leg, allowing the weight of the leg to drop down onto the base of each toe. And being really honest about how well you can feel those roots. If they're a bit fuzzy, spend a little moment longer just really visualizing that second toe, that second root, really connecting the core to each root, rolling from one root to the next. And then if you're on a soft surface, that backward flip. But if that makes the muscles in the calf feel like they're going to go into a cramp, don't do it, come out of it quickly. Rolling the foot from the top of each toe, pausing at those that feel fuzzy just to make them a little bit more real. And then a spot of weighing the anchor, winching, lassoing that big toe, pulling up. I wish I could hear you groaning, not muted at the moment. Pulling forwards, untangling hips, always doing it with love and respect, not forcing the hips to go where they're not happy to go. And the other side. Letting those toes bend wherever they're happy to bend. Weight dropping down. Whatever sequence your muscles choose. It's like it's not a choice that your head can say, I'm going to push the weight onto one foot or one toe. The muscles just relax and take that weight onto the fourth or the fifth or the first. Connecting those roots to the core. I think the weather's not quite cold enough for a lovely sort of winter vegetable broth in the belly at the moment, but however you want to imagine that nourishing qi in the belly, really letting it connect with your roots. That backward flip. Only doing it if you get that feeling. If it's I wish Kim didn't make us do this, then come out of the movement. That's it. Lasso that big toe, weigh that anchor, pulling up, opening the channels at the back of the knee, back of the calf, untangling the knots in the hip. And now we can start jiggling. Shaking ankles, respect for whichever joint feels a little bit vulnerable. Little flick from the knee, getting a bit more of whatever's stuck to those feet off. That lovely kick from the hip. And that coughing up of a fur ball. And no matter how tender or fatigued your body is, turn it into an art. So if the body says, oh no, I think I better leave that one alone, just see if you can very, very gently do a little tiny kick, a little, just enough to send a shiver up the spine. And it doesn't have to be a big fur ball. Yeah, just a little, that's it. And then we can shake wrists. Skyhook shakes wrists. I wish I could take a screenshot of the screen at the moment. It would be great. Thank you, lucky stars, I can't. Or if I can, I don't know how to. Leaning forwards. Let the shake come up through the shoulders, wiggling the shoulders, wet dog shake down the back, and loosening those jowls. That's good. Lovely. I think a little higher. Good. Now we can go back to a bit more in praise of slow. So it's interesting that whole body movement, just taking the hands down, is a way of saying, come on, Chi, you're up in the head, you're up in the chest. Let's help it go back down to the belly. That's it. Settling the Chi down. Going to spend a little time just getting that Chi down into the belly. I want to do the movement drawing a bow, but that in itself brings Chi up into the chest. So before we do that, we're going to do that lovely movement, raising one hand. Okay. So I wonder if I can, there we are, that's better. So starting in Wu Chi position. Always starting in Wu Chi position. Why do I say it? That's it. Skyhook, keeping us light. Arms just hanging. I've just realized, although it's very nice having the greenery behind, that bright light behind makes me a bit of a silhouette. So hopefully that makes me a bit more visible. There we are. Letting the hands come up, creating that ball of Chi. Again, the words that come out of my mouth, creating that ball of Chi. Sometimes it's there. You don't have to create it. The hands just can feel it. Some days it has to be created. Slide one hand on top, one hand underneath. Allow that ball of Chi to just hover in front of you. Lower hand lets go, palm down. Upper hand lets go, palm up. And again, you're familiar with this movement, but just spending a little time making that precious, fragile, precarious object resting on that upturned hand as real as possible. Begin to lift, begin to lift. Maybe your physical body says, my shoulder can't go up any further. Maybe you begin to get the jitters and you're going to drop that precious object. Whatever comes first, then that lower hand connects with that rock beside you to give you stability. That rock, that power of the earth to support us in holding up that precious object. And then let the image disappear, the hands reconnect. Upper hand slides underneath, lower hand slides on top. Little wriggle of the shoulders before we move into the next stage of the movement. Just checking that the sky hook is really keeping us light, allowing the spine to hang. Lower hand lets go, fingers forwards. Upper hand lets go, fingers back. Doesn't have to be the same precious object. You can experiment, but precarious, precious, and lifting, 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 lifting. And when you can go no further, that lower hand connects with a big rock, solid, reliable, allowing you to hold up that precious object and let the image disappear. Hands reconnect, slide round the ball of chi. And again, in between each movement, just reconnecting with the sky hook, reconnecting with the earth. The spine hanging softly. Lower hand lets go, palm down, fingers forwards. Upper hand lets go, palm up, fingers back. Again, just make that object as precious and fragile as you can imagine. That word precious, not useful, but precious. Lifting, lifting, lifting. And when it can go no further, where you get the jitters, that lower hand connects and receives support, allowing us to support that precious object. And let the image disappear. Reconnect with the chi. Hands slide round. And preparing for our last movement. Little jiggle. That's it. Lower hand lets go, palm down. Upper hand lets go, palm up. Feel that precious object resting on your upturned hand. Not heavy, light as a feather. That's it. Lifting, lifting. You need poise and balance to lift and support that precious object. And when you need help, the earth in the form of that rock is always there. And then let the image disappear. Reconnect. Hands slide either side. And just spend a little time allowing the chi to support your arms. Reconnecting with the sky hook. The more the sky hook can lighten and lengthen and soften the spine, the easier it is for the chi to descend, for the breath to drop down from the chest, down into the belly. And then just slide your hands on top and let the chi be drawn down to the earth. Arms hang. Soft breathing in the belly. Breathing in, recharging. Breathing out, releasing. And have a well-deserved little wriggle and a fidget. I always wonder how I come across on these videos. Yesterday, guy I was chatting to has been watching some of the recordings that I've released to the public. He says, you really are very like Kim. And I thought that's an interesting compliment, that I really am very like Kim when I'm on a video. So I hope I really am very like Kim for you. Anyway, on that happy note, we're going to draw a bow. And I'm going to open some windows. It's getting surprisingly warm in here. There we are. There we are. That's good. And I think it's time for a glass of water. We've got 15 minutes before I have to say farewell to the people only staying for the hour. Oh, that's good. That's lovely. So, again, drawing a bow creates that distance between the shoulder blades. On a physical plane, it's so good for releasing the neck and shoulders without actively engaging the neck. You know, so many exercises are about, oh, turn your head this way, turn your head that way, move your head that way. Whereas drawing a bow is about releasing the space between the shoulders, and the head just ends up having a little bit more freedom on the neck. But for me, and I hope for you, the main thing is about getting a sense of clarity about where our path is at this moment. The horizon is still very misty. So, slightly wider stance. So only the width of each foot wider than shoulder width. And again, it's that added stability allows us to get that stability from the earth so that when we draw the bow, we drop down. That's it. And just have a look to your right and then look to your right, left, and just check that what's in your line of vision isn't preventing you from letting the mind's eye look out to the horizon. So when I look to the right here, there's a little collection of half a dozen vibrant bluey purple flowers I can see through the window, and it keeps me here in the garden. So I'm just going to shift my attention so that it's a little easier to look beyond the foreground. And the other way, again, if I'm not careful, my eyes get drawn to what's on the shelf, but I have to look at the space beyond the shelf, allowing the mind's eye. And today, my neck seems to turn more easily to the left. So again, if there's an obvious difference, start on the easy side. The arms cross in front of the chest. And whichever way you're going to draw the bow, that hand is the one in front. So I'm going to draw my bow to the left, my left hand's in front. And just relax into that position. The hands crossed in front of the chest. The eyes soft. Feet receiving support from the earth. Crown of the head connecting to the sky hook, the puppet string keeping us light. Now, instead of that soft gaze, the eyes open wide, bright. Doesn't matter whether you need glasses or not, the mind's eye can see clearly. And just let that gaze follow the line of the horizon to the side you're going to draw your bow. Don't force the neck. Wherever the head says, that's as far as I can comfortably go, that's where you go. And then use the mind's eye to see the target, to see the eagle flying along the horizon. The mind's eye sees it clearly, sees the pattern on the feathers, the shape, the wind ruffling the feathers, the light making the beak shine, the eagle's eye looking back at you. Now, when you can see that target clearly, your bow hand comes up, palm facing out to the horizon. And keep it soft. So this initial position is not a strained position. It's not a intense, the elbows just hanging. But just let the mind's eye see that target in the gap between your thumb and index finger. And when you can see it clearly, this other hand The arrow hand places the arrow on the bow, holds onto the bowstring between thumb and index finger. Take a deep breath in and draw. Now you can begin to push the bow hand forwards as you pull the bowstring and the arrow backwards. How far can you comfortably go to reach that distant target? And when you can go no further, just let the target disappear. You're not wasting your energy at this moment. Relax and the arms cross in front of the chest. Little wriggle of the shoulders. Letting the energy drop down as much as it's able to. Eyes see the horizon in front, and then just let your gaze go in the opposite side. Only as far as your head is comfortable to turn. See that target, see the eagle on the horizon. When it's clear, or as clear as your mind's eye can make it, then you raise the bow. That's good. See the target in the gap between the thumb and index finger. Very Amdram manner of placing the arrow on the bow. Hold on to the bowstring, take a deep breath in and breathe out, pulling back, pushing forwards. How far can you draw that bow to reach that distant horizon, that distant target? And when you can go no further, allow the target to disappear. Choose not to fire the arrow. Cross the arms in front of the chest. Always a little wriggle, a little release of the neck. Allow the sky hook to lighten the body so the chi can drop down into the belly. Eyes see the horizon in front. Turning the head gradually along the horizon. And when you can turn no further, the mind's eye creates the target, the eagle. Raise your bow when you can see it clearly. When it's in your sights, the arrow is placed on the bow. Deep breath in and breathe out. And when you can go no further, choose not to fire the arrow. Let the target disappear and the arms cross in front of the chest. That's good. Just going to do one more movement to the other side. But again, just pause, let the sky hook connect. The breath drops down into the belly as much as it can. The eyes widen, seeing the horizon clearly. Not just seeing it, but looking at the horizon. What can you see as the eyes and the head follow the line of the horizon? And at your maximum turn, the target reveals itself. You can see the eagle on the horizon. Then it's worth raising the bow. Not until you can see your target. And only when you can see it clearly in your sights is it worth placing the arrow on the bow. Hold on tight. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, the out breath gives you the power to draw that bow as far as possible. And when you can go no further, choose not to fire the bow. Let the target disappear and the arms cross in front of the chest. That's good. Just keeping the hands in front of the chest while the sky hook lifts while the soles of the feet receive that stability and support. Even if the chest wants to move, just allow it. Take your attention playfully down to the belly. And then to finish, that lovely archetypal arms coming round and saying we finished. That's good. Back to the Wu Chi position. Bring the feet back under the shoulders. Ah, that's great. Ah, soft breathing in the belly. Ah, and it's time for another little sip of water. Over the years, a number of people have expressed a degree of frustration that you're not allowed to fire the arrow, that you're spending all this energy aiming at a target and then choosing not to fire the arrow. But really save up that arrow until you really have got something decent to aim for. Otherwise, you'll be firing your arrows and your chi off to the horizon all over the place and become depleted. So now it's nearly 11. It may be time to say goodbye to some people who are only staying for the hour. I don't want to tempt you to stay longer than is necessary, but I'm planning to do a bit of stalking from 11 o'clock onwards. If you fancy joining in for a bit of stalking, you're welcome to stay on for another 10 or 15 minutes. But it's still this whole thing about being in praise of slow. So, stalking or not? All right, bye-bye, Sharon. And also, don't let me tempt you to stay on if your energy levels say you ought to stay on. A little bit more. That's good. Yes, you don't need to see my head for stalking. That's great. Oh, that's lovely. So, the stork. And I can turn my back on you and not see what you're doing. No one has had any internet Wi-Fi issues. You've all been moving beautifully smoothly. No Wi-Fi judders. So, turning my back and spend a little time just getting into that slow pace. The egret, the stork, the heron. Someone locally said that there's a migrant bird in the Emsworth area. A sooty ibis has appeared and has got twitches all over the place. Anyway, whatever long-legged wader you want to be, we start in the Wu Chi position. Make sure you've got 6 or 7 feet clear in front of you. Feeling the support of the earth through your feet, feeling the support of the sky through the crown of the head. Allowing that lightening of the body as the sky hook draws the head up to soften the spine, letting the chi drop down into the belly. So the first part of the movement is that gathering movement, the arms reaching out, or wings reaching out, and then coming to rest on the belly, one hand on the other. Doesn't matter which hand. And for the sake of us all doing the same thing and not having to reverse anything I'm doing, just shift your weight over onto the right side. See how that right leg feels. Is it happy to take your weight? Is the left leg happy to come up onto its toes? And it's a lightness. That sky hook still keeps you light. You're not collapsing onto the weight-bearing leg. And then the other leg touches the earth, takes a very small step, no bigger than the length of your foot, out. All your weight goes forwards onto the front foot, and the hands push down in line with your spine, with your back leg, heel of the back leg still firmly connected to the earth. And then the skyhook brings all the weight back onto the back leg. And the arms just hang soft. Spine hanging soft. Skyhook pulls you forwards onto the front leg. As you do, the fingers spread, the arms and hands extend downwards towards the earth by your back foot. Breathe in. This time, gather. Front foot on its heel, swivels, stepping out to the other side. Just touch the earth and a small step out. All the weight goes forwards. Breathe out. All the weight comes back. Breathe in. Arms just hang. Breathe out as the weight is drawn forwards. Fingers spread. Breathe in as the weight comes back. Front foot on its heel swivels. Step out to the left. Breathe out. Breathe in. All your energy drops down as the body hangs over the back leg. Breathe out. Energy comes up into the head as your body is drawn forwards. Breathe in, gather. Front foot swivels on its heel. Step out to the left. Breathe out. Breathe in. Still hanging from the skyhook. Breathe out. Fingers spreading. Hands being drawn down to the earth. Breathe in. Gather. Right foot swivels. Step out to the left. Breathe out. Breathe in. Just let the arms hang. Breathe out. Let the fingers spread and the arms are drawn down towards that back foot. Breathe in, gather, left foot swivels, step out to the right. Breathe out. Breathe in. All the weight on the back leg. Breathe out. Breathe in, gather, front foot comes up onto its heel and swivels, step out to the left. Breathe out. Breathe in, just let the arms hang. Breathe out, fingers spread. Breathe in and gather, front foot swivels. Step out to the right. Breathe out. Breathe in. Just let the arms hang. Breathe out. Spread those fingers. Push down. Breathe in. Gather. Right foot swivels on its heel. Our last step out to the left. Breathe out. Breathe in. Just let the arms hang. Breathe out. All your weight drawn forwards onto the front foot. Breathe in. Gather. Left foot swivels. Step out to the right. This is our last movement. Breathe out. Breathe in. Just let the arms hang. Breathe out. All the weight comes forwards. Breathe in and gather. And this time allow both feet to swivel, taking you into the shoulder width stance. Hands resting on the belly. Feet parallel, under the shoulders, sky hook, supporting, lightening. The breath may be up in the chest, maybe down in the belly, but just playfully take the attention down to the belly. If the chest wants to move, allow it. And then to finish, just taking the hands off the belly and another gathering movement just to really close the form. And let the arms hang, recharging as you breathe in, releasing as you breathe out. And have a darn good wriggle and a fidget. Kim turns round and sees that you're still all there. There we are, that's good. Another sip of water. That's it. Oh, now, you don't have to have a beautiful clear space to stalk. So sometimes a little bit of clutter or unevenness is actually quite useful. So if there's a table or a chair in your way, it's really quite fun taking a little step to one side and then thinking to avoid, so I'll take a bigger step to the other side. You can have a lot of control over where you move. And grass is a bit too wet now, but an uneven surface is really lovely to practice stalking on. So when the weather is drier, next May, then you can try stalking on the grass. Okay, so still on this slow, I don't know. We're doing a lot of very controlled things. And I think maybe a little bit of free flow would be useful, a little bit of spontaneity. So we will do playing with Qi, but be kind to your Qi. If your body says, maybe I shouldn't move too much, don't say, I can't do this, but just for a couple of seconds, a minute, the minute the body says, I've done enough, that's it. So comfortably wide stance. And depending on where you're at the moment, it might be wider than usual. Yes, okay, bye-bye. Ah, that's lovely. And just bring your hands up to create that ball of Qi. So this is just like a little break, really. Playing with Qi is an opportunity not to think. Not to think, am I doing this the correct way? You're just allowing that ball of Qi to have as much freedom around you as possible. And just because Kim says, start off this way, if your hands start moving in a different way, that's fine. If your body moves in a different way, that's fine. The only rule is keep that Qi safe. Don't go in a way that sort of says, oh, I wanted to go over there, and the Qi goes flying out of the window. So you're just keeping that Qi safe around you, but giving it as much freedom as possible. One hand slides on top, one hand underneath. The usual guidance, not rule, is to move towards the side of the upper hand. And when your body says, I can't go any further, then you just give the Qi a little nudge. You say, hey, that's far enough. Come back the other way. And when it can't go any further, again, that upper hand just nudges the Qi and say, oh, try going the other way. And if you move differently to Kim, that's fine. If the inner critic says you're doing this wrong, go faster. Leave the brain behind. Trust the mind, that innate wisdom. Ask the Qi if it would like to go up or down. And if you don't get an answer, just maybe take it there anyway and see if it likes going up or down. You don't need to get an answer, but you need to listen to give an answer the opportunity of appearing. Your physical body may say, I can't take the chi up to the sky. Your physical body may say, I can't take the chi down to the earth. Just go where you're able to. Slow or fast. Maybe the body says, just pause. Don't move, just be still. Always that respect for your body. Maybe a position takes a shoulder or a knee somewhere that says, hey, you shouldn't have done that. Changing the position of your feet if you need to, widening or narrowing the stance, going fast or slow. And like so many games, just telling the ball of chi, we're going to have to bring this game to a finish. Gradually reducing the movement. Gradually reducing the size of the movement. Bringing the feet back under the shoulders. Sometimes the chi doesn't want to stop and wants to carry on. Finding a place that seems okay to stop. Reconnecting with the earth, reconnecting with the sky. Soft breathing in the belly. Even if a movement has been quite aerobic and the chest wants to do all the breathing, just playfully take the attention down to the belly and slide the hands on top and push down. That's lovely. That's great. Now, after a little bit of playfulness, I'd like to go back to really my beginnings. The first Qigong I was ever taught was this series of 8 movements called the Bud Jin. They're very structured, and sometimes my mind rebels against the structure, but structure has its place. So we'll let go of intuition at the moment and just work with structure. So we're going to practice that lovely movement, which looks nothing like its title, called Looking Backwards Like a Cow Gazing at the Moon. Its whole energy is very sinking. It drops the energy. So whether you want to be busy or not, you can't help it. You end up going bloop. So keeping that sense of real groundedness, but at the same time, don't let the skyhook disappear. So before we do anything with our hands, just shift your weight over to one side and just see how the spine hangs. So you're hanging from the skyhook, and just give the shoulders a little wiggle and just see where your body turns to. It won't be looking straight forward. The very nature of the body means that if you shift to one side, you have to turn slightly. So that's how far you turn on that side. See what it feels like on the other side. So you shift your weight. Again, I'm much stiffer. It's harder to make my body, oh, it doesn't want to. Hardly any turn that side. There we are. So just see which weight-bearing side is happy to let the weight take. That's it. Okay. Now, slightly wider stance. Again, feet just the width of each foot wider. It makes it easier to allow the body to shift over to each side. And bring the hands up and feel that ball of Qi. That's it. And you decide which way the body's going to turn, but just allow the sky hook to draw your body over onto one side of the body. Again, not so much that the body objects. Keep the body light and then just let the spine soften. You're not actively turning, you're just letting the spine soften to the point where you get a little rotation. That ball of Qi is now fixed in space, so your hands slide round behind it. Feel like a French mime artist. This ball fixed, impossible to move. I can't push it away, but I can lean on it. I can let it take my weight as if I was leaning on a wall. And then your hands slide back to either side. Make sure the elbows drop. The sky hook draws you back to the midline. Just relax a little, let the spine hang. And then the sky hook draws you over onto the other side. And again, just let the body turn to where it can hang freely. Hands slide round behind that ball of Qi. Again, not trying to push it away, you can't. It's rigid, solid, fixed in space, allowing you to lean against it. And then the hands reconnect with the ball of Qi, come back to the midline. Make sure you haven't collapsed and that the elbows like to come out like this, but let them drop. All the weight goes over to the other side and the body just swivels. That's it. Slide your hands round behind that ball. Feel it fixed in space. Feel its ability to support. And then the hands reconnect with the Qi. You come back to the midline. Little wriggle of the shoulders just to let the elbows drop. Make sure the body's still fully extended. Sky hook draws you over onto the other side and the body swivels. That's good. Hands slide round behind that ball. And again, you're not pushing it away, you're leaning on it and it is supporting you. Hands reconnect. Back to the midline. We'll do one more movement to each side. All the weight goes over, the body swivels. Hands slide round behind. Feel that ability to support you. It's like you've been on a long walk and there's nowhere to sit down, the grass is wet, so you just lean against a tree or a wall. Hands reconnect, back to the midline, a little wriggle of the shoulders. Last movement, sky hook draws you over. Slide the hands round. Again, really feel that body that ball able to support you. Reconnect and back to the midline. That's good. Bring the feet back under the shoulders. Elbows soft. Skyhook keeping us light. The attention down on the belly, breathing softly into the belly. Breathing in, recharging. Breathing out, releasing. Just slide the hands on top. Gravity takes them down. Back into the Wu Qi position. Simple standing. Don't underestimate that lovely word simple. Soft breathing in the belly. And just in case there's a little tiny bit of stuckness loitering somewhere, backs of the hands resting on the ledge at the bottom of the spine, and let the skyhook begin to jiggle us. Trust your body. Today, at the end of an hour and a half of Qigong, the body might want very, very gentle jiggles. But maybe there is some stuckness somewhere and the body wants a little bit more vigorous jiggle. Trust your body. All the movement comes from the crown of the head, that puppet string lifting and dropping, lifting and dropping. And just using this jiggling as a way of noticing where there is a bit of stuckness. Under the shoulders, back of the neck, under the back of the head. Physical stuckness. Non-physical, mental, intellectual stuckness. Emotional stuckness. Not fighting it, but the jiggling gives some of that stuckness the ability to break free. Little bits of rubbish being dislodged, able to flow where your body can get rid of it. Little bits of useful qi being dislodged, able to flow to the storehouse or to somewhere else where it's really needed. And then slowly allowing the movement to reduce, little by little by little, until that jiggling doesn't stop, but simply disappears. Keeping the hands resting on that ledge at the back of the spine, at the base of the spine. Making sure the skyhook is keeping you light. Breathing out any rubbish that's been dislodged. Using the in-breath to draw useful qi down to the storehouse. Just training it not to go back to old habit places, old default places. And then let the arms hang. Lifting our roots, that lovely ritual of getting ready to leave this shared space. Shifting the roots gradually. Clicking the screen onto gallery view so it's easier to visualize us standing in a circle. That's it. And just that image of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people standing in a circle. Some of you in the same physical space, but as all of us in the same energetic space. And just bringing the hands up creating that ball of chi. Sliding the hands round and just pushing those 6 balls of chi gently, respectfully together, creating one shared ball of chi. Feeling the contours, getting a feel for that group ball of chi. Fingers create a fold and a fist. And these first 2 stretches and compressions, always done very gently and respectfully, breathing in, pulling, stretching, getting a feel for the other 5 people pulling with you. Belly softens, palms open. Breathe out. 6 people squeezing, compressing, refining, and relax. Create a fold and a fist. Breathe in. A little bit more power now. Really working with the other people in the circle to pull and stretch and expand that chi. Belly softens, palms open. Breathe out. And again, a little bit more power, really compressing, feeling the people opposite you squeezing, feeling the people to the side of you squeezing. Hands relax. Last stretch, breathing in, really expanding, enlarging. Belly softens, palms open. Last squeeze, compressing, refining, feeling the other people squeezing and purifying the chi. And then the hands soften, slide on top, and the weight of all our hands takes the chi down to the earth. And please unmute yourselves.